Hello and welcome back to your virtual tea time. My name is Tori and I'm your host. And today we have Sierra Sanchez joining us, founder of the Millennielle Golf Club. Hi, Sierra.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you're here because
Me too.
Let me tell you, I see it so many times where any sort of player is like, I wish there was groups that were after work, or I wish there was more women's golf groups on the weekends, or I wish there was more women's golf groups of similar ages, or, insert anything. And I want to say in the comments, and sometimes I do, frankly, go start it. Go start it yourself. Get two of the people that you would ideally want to golf with or that you want to be in this group and go start it. And that's exactly what you did.
Well, and all it takes, honestly, is just you either like have a friend that wants to go with you. It's like one other person, or just go, sign up for a tea time and become part of a foursome.
Exactly. It's very simple in the beginning.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just getting used to showing up to the golf course, like that confidence of, feeling like this is my place too. I'm welcome here.
Exactly.
But that's kind of how it happened for me. I, grew up playing golf. And so when I was younger, I had all my golf friends, and that's a whole time and a whole different kind of friendship sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I moved back from San Francisco, back home to Phoenix, and I had like 15 different girls like over the course of a couple years ask me like, oh, you play golf. Will you teach me how to golf? So in their 20s. And I think it was because maybe around that age, their boyfriends, husbands, like dads, brothers would go spend like a whole Saturday gone. And some, they wanted to partake in that too, or feel like they were welcome at the course too. I tried with one of them to like teach her. I'm a horrible teacher. Like
me too, actually.
I can't explain the swing because I was little when I learned it. And so my body is, as golfers, you're lopsided. The way I'm bending is the way I've been doing that for like 20 years.
It just comes natural to you at this point.
It's
With
ingrained.
me, I just don't have the patience. I'm like, here, just give me the golf club. Let me show you.
I was like, just bend, just more. And that's not, that doesn't make sense to anybody. And then just from a time perspective wise, I can't go with 15 different gals to 15 different rounds. It's just, and that's pricey and everything. So what happened was I had this like little idea, and then there's all the different ways I was able to like make it possible. But I was like, I'll just kind of like create a group. I work in social as a profession. So I knew how to like start a branded Instagram page. I used to work at the Biltmore, and I was a bev cart girl there. So there was this one group on Thursdays, it was called TTFN, Take Time for 9. And so they had Debbie Waitkiss. She's the founder of that.
Yes. Yep.
Love Debbie, which she comes in the story like later. Like it's so funny how many dots connect in this golf world. But every Thursday at 4, I'd hit up that group one last time before I closed out. And I knew they did 9 and wine for $35. So, maybe 3 years after that, when I went back to the Biltmore and asked them, I want to start this group. Like, would you be willing to give me that same kind of package? And they're so nice there. And they were like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And then now 4 years later, I bring a whole crew to the course
Well, let's back up though.
Yeah.
So you're working the bev cart, and it wasn't until 3 years later that you really saw like, okay, there's a need here. It's not out there, and I might as well just start it. How did that process go? What did you do first? Tell me,
So yes, I worked the Biltmore in 2017, and I started the club in 2020. Again, I knew how to like brand out an Instagram page, and I knew that they'd let me do it. I played college golf. And so one of my college golf teammates, he's a like industrial designer, but he can do graphic design. I asked him like, hey, would you help me design a logo? I'll dog sit for you. And he was like, yeah, sure. And so I drew up kind of how I wanted it to look, and he just made it happen for me. And I was like, and that was around the time Millennial, like the Pantone color of the year, Millennial Pink was in. So I was like, I want it to be this color, all these things. So that's how I did the branding. And then honestly, I just went through my Instagram and followed all of the girls I knew in high school, all the girls middle school. And the first, I was initially planning for March 2020, then the pandemic. But then golf became this place where people could like go as like a reprieve, like something fun to do. So, you know, interest grew. So our first event was in September 2020, and I had about like 10 gals show up. And then the funny thing about it is there's a lot of beginners, but there's so much more to golf. Like, they want to show up in a cute outfit, or they want to post it on their Instagram stories. And that's honestly how the club has grown, is people just are really excited to be there. They're really excited for like the whole package of it, being out with the girls. And they want to post on social. And then every time we have an event now, you know, maybe I'll get like 10, 12 new girls reaching out, but it's because their friends came to one.
Exactly. So it always was Millennielle Golf Club. And what was behind that name? What was the intent for
so
your group?
First, I'm a millennial. So I just kind of, there's this influencer, and she calls it where the millennials are at. It's this splinter era. Yeah. So right now, just between, I think it's like 25 and 40-ish, there are all sorts of women, like career women, moms, wives, travelers. There's in this like exact section where we're not all in the same spot, but we'll meet up again. Yeah. Probably, you know, in the 40s or something. And it's also, I found too, that all your life, you're kind of given these opportunities to make friendships, but it's situational. Like I'm in school. So-and-so is my best friend. She sits next to me in class, or we play this sport together. And it's kind of like
easy.
It's easy, and they're right there. Yeah. But when you're in this splinter era, you know, maybe your friend goes off and she's in a different kind of season.
She gets married, she has kids.
Yeah. And so you're like, wait, where do I go to make more friends? Yeah. And what's been such an exciting thing about this club is, and what I started doing this like maybe when I was 20, when I moved back from San Francisco, and I had to kind of like create a new life here. Yeah. And so I'm really big on like utility friends. And that just means forming deep connections with people based on my interests. One person doesn't have to serve every single thing I'm interested in, but I could have a really good friend who golfs, and I love golfing with her. I have a really good friend. We hike. We have, our goal is to hike like the tallest peak in every state. I don't know that that's going to happen, but we've got a couple on the list. It could. So,
okay, wait, I love this. Let's talk a little bit more about this. Utility friends.
Yes.
Like meaning you don't need to take your best golfer friend on a hike.
No. Like, what if she doesn't like it?
She might not even like that.
But you could have a great
I hate
time.
Hiking. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I don't like hiking in the desert. I love hiking in the woods.
Yes. And that's a whole different, it's a different vibe entirely.
Sorry, we went off. No,
but that's something to be noted too. Like I have my skiing friends.
Yeah, exactly.
The one friend that will go with me skiing because I'm not great. But like
it's just an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah, because, and people, I think that's the thing, even in, you know, romantic partnership too, is you want that person to be like your everything, and they can be, but you need to have grace for like, they're a different person with different interests. Yeah. And how do you show up for each other in friendships, relationships? Like, how do you show up for each other in a way that like serves you both? And I think what I've noticed, which has been really the most exciting, I mean, golf aside, the most exciting thing about this club for me is there will be literally all the girls show up. They have like just an interest in golf. Like I want to try it, but I'm like nervous, or I'm a beginner. So they show up with interest, but then they're kind of like nervous and vulnerable. So their walls are down, and I pair them with people. I'm like, okay, they're moms. Like these girls kind of went to the similar school. They're both from the Midwest. I'll like pair them based on how they might connect, sort of thing. And by the end of the round, they're all following each other on Instagram. And then the most exciting thing is when I'll see them, another weekend playing with those girls on their own.
No, it's so great.
So they don't have to be best friends, but they have a friend who likes to golf and they know they can text that person. And who knows, like down the line, they actually do become even better friends. It's just a way to meet more people.
It's so funny that you talk about pairing the different ladies together, because when I'm doing a tournament or even a retreat and I start pairing people together and I know, like, they don't know each other, but I know them each separately. And I'm like, they will have the most amazing time together. When you just know, like, you are putting together something really special for some, like, you get excited about it.
Oh, you're like, there is nothing that makes me... I got one of like the sweetest compliments I think I've ever gotten in my life the other day. Your weak connection, so strong connections you have like with your parents, your best friends, family, those are great, but you're more likely to find opportunity through weaker connections. So like, oh, this acquaintance, I played golf with this person, we used to work together, because they'll think of you for whatever the connection point, like, oh, so-and-so would be really good for this job, I'm going to recommend her. Or example, the other day, a newer friend who I met through this golf club, who I met through another girl who, it's like this chain of events. I thought of her. I was like, this girl's super sweet. And I know this guy is like really nice. I don't know that they know each other, but I'm going to like reach out to both of them and see if they'd be open to meeting.
Yeah.
They like connected really well. And she said, she was like, the compliment, she was like, the way you see people's energy is so beautiful. And I was like, well, I'm going to cry first, but that's why in this golf club, people are like, I want to bring it to other states. Like, let's get another chapter. And I don't know that I know how to do that, because I think so much of it is me and my heart that I've put into getting to know all the girls and trying to like match them up energy wise based on. So that's a whole other conversation about scaling, but it is so fun.
Let's get to scale though.
Yeah.
But first we're going to get to scale, but let's go back to nuts and bolts. So so you formed Millennielle Golf Club from just the first event being 10 women.
Yep.
And now how many are there?
No, I have to like cut it off at 40. I'm like, sorry, wait list.
So each of the events are about 40 women.
Yes.
But in the whole golf club itself, how many?
About 1,000.
1,000 women. So we started at 10. It's now at 1,000. What kind of events do you offer? What kind of events do you put on for your club?
So we have 9 and Wine once a month. We're at started and very like, we love being at the Biltmore. My buddies at Grass Clippings, they let us go out there. So we held our 2024 kickoff at Grass Clippings, and we'll have more events there as they continue to like grow their facility and stuff like that. And we're, I don't know necessarily what the future holds for our course portfolio. I imagine it's going to grow just based off of like, demand. Other courses wanting us to host. And, but the Biltmore is where I grew up. That was my home course as a junior golfer. And I worked there and I love the staff. And I mean, they just built a whole new beautiful clubhouse. I haven't been by there yet.
I got to go check it out.
Dying for the restaurant to open and everything. So I know I'll be there all the time. But yeah, so 9 and Wine once a month. I try to, another very important thing for me, price wise, I want it to be like the same cost as if you were going out to happy hour.
Okay.
Because there's majority of the girls that come, they're beginners. And so I don't want them to feel like, oh, I paid $80, $100 and like, I didn't even really play. Like they need to go have a good time. And golf is almost the backdrop. And with that thought in mind, like what's happening, the undercurrent is I want them to be in the practice of like feeling comfortable showing up at a golf course. Like you pull your car up, the bad guys, they put you on the cart, feel comfortable going into the pro shop, know what you're doing on the first tee. all that kind of stuff. So it's like a learning experience with like masked as a like really fun event.
So did you realize when you were forming this group that it would be a lot of beginners, or is it a lot of beginners? Because you're talking kind of beginner language right now. So what does your group look like right now?
I would say about 80% are girls. As far as what I see in the DMs, they'll be like, "Hi, I'm really interested in golfing. I'm a beginner, so I'm kind of nervous to go."
Yeah.
And I just tell them like, "Listen, all you need to know how to do is like make friends and have fun. Like if you don't want to finish a hole, don't pick up the ball.
Pick up the ball.
We don't keep score. It's vibe score, smile, frown. You forget about this."
What did you just say?
We keep vibe score. I don't even know what I shoot these days. I am retired, so
I feel like just for my mental health, for myself, I need to start just keeping vibe score.
It really is a game changer.
Yeah.
Because honestly, growing up, I didn't like golf at all because there was a whole like life plan installed behind it as a junior golfer, which actually served me really, really well. But it felt like something I had to do because I know what you're talking about as far as like going out playing golf, frustrated at a round, I'm 3-putting, I'm not hitting fairway. Like there was so much like self-worth attached to that, but it didn't feel positive. And I think one of my happiest days of my entire life was my last day of practice in college. Oh. I didn't think that day would ever come. And I mean, that was one of those moments where it's like, I was grinding since I was a junior golfer for like, from like at least 10 years old to 22 in college. I'm like 30 hours a week, like in rain pants because I was in San Francisco, and freezing. And this sport, I wasn't a star golfer. I don't hit it long. I was just kind of like middle of the pack. Yeah. It'd be fun to go to a tournament, but I didn't always qualify. And so there was so much of my self-worth was attached to a number and it didn't feel like it was great. Yeah. And it wasn't until I got my like first job out of college and I was in PR, so people, that I finally I was like, wait, I'm good at something. I'm good. Golf weighed me down for so long because it was the scholarship worth, the numbers. Like I could mathematically calculate how valuable I was and it didn't feel good. So
when the truth is you were an exceptional golfer.
Yeah.
And but again, you were getting weighed down by the numbers and
then also in the field you're in too.
Yeah.
It's like, cause now I'll make, anytime somebody's like talking about improving their game, blah, blah, blah. And I think that's great because it should come from a personal goal place. Yeah. Like if you're doing that for a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction, awesome. If you're doing that because you need to prove something, that's maybe flip it around and think about how do I enjoy this experience so it improves my life? Yeah. Because end of the day is like you're outside on a beautiful course. Yeah. Like this is such a privilege to be out there golfing.
Absolutely. And if you're just building up resentment, then something's up.
It's funny. I don't know what I shoot anymore. It could be great. It could be, miss that shot. Yeah. But I feel like now that I don't have the pressure, my mental game is so much stronger. Yeah. And there's so much to be said about that, whether it's like talking about manifestation and stuff like that, like the letting go really helps you actually achieve, like get what you want sort of thing. Being in your authentic with that. And that's honestly, I'll say in that letting go thing is there's been so many things in my life I've really tried hard to do. Like, oh, I want that so bad. Like I'm going to work so hard. And this golf club grows on its own. Like I put the events on, I go out there and I meet the girls and I make sure they're having a good time. Like this is my gift to them. Yeah. And I think because it's in that authentic for me, that it naturally scales.
Yeah, absolutely. You started this during the pandemic, even though the pandemic hadn't started yet. You were probably working on it during the pandemic. Yeah. While we were all inside-ish here in Arizona. What has it brought to your life? Why do you think it was something that came to you?
Okay, so I'm a big dots connect, looking backwards, hindsight's 2020. Yeah. First of all, I've made so many wonderful, lovely friends that have added so much value to my life. Yeah. People, I don't really know how I would have met. I mean, the universe will bring them around, but it's whether I hosted grass clippings before they had the course, they let me host a women's pop-up shop. And through that, so it was holiday 2021. One gal just came in with her husband to shop, and I, invited her oh, do you golf? Come to the club. Well, she's one of my best friends now. Katie Burns from Jaybird. She was one of the vendors. She's one of my good friends. Yeah. And ironically, that girl and Katie reached out oh, I need help with modeling or something. Would you last minute do it? And I'm yeah, sure. So it's all these different connections. And then a few different, over the course of the years, I met a few other girls and I realized, you know what? They would all really get along with each other. And so I introduced all of them. And now every month we have some sort of happy hour, or again, it's that how do you make friends in your 30s kind of thing. Yeah. And I think I was searching for that. And this literally brought me so many amazing, lovely women. And that's just one story of it. Yeah. One of my other friends from high school, she came to one of the events, and another girl from high school, we were all used to be kind of closer in high school, and then you grow apart a little bit. But whatever the case, they kind of played together, started chatting, and one of the girls introduced her to her husband's old roommate from college, and that girl they got married this past weekend. It's just, Phoenix is such a big city, small town, and I love the value it's really brought to my life is being able to reconnect with people or meet so many other amazing people. And then also this golf community is so supportive too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, because I really want to inspire the listener that's thinking maybe they should start something. Yeah. Maybe they should start a league, a group, something in their area. Because again, while we sometimes think that there's ladies' leagues and groups all over the place, there could be places where it's not, or there might not be a group that fits in your schedule, but you want to start something. So what were some of the hurdles that you needed to get over? What are some of the logistical things that you have to work on each time for these events that might be tough, but you've learned how to make them easier or?
Okay. So first of all, I think ingredients for starting your own club.
Yes.
Find a golf course that thinks this would be wants women there, thinks this would be a great idea. Yeah. And I'm just going to be so realistic about it, especially if there's beginner golfers. Ask them if you can have one of the later tee times. Because if someone's beginning, learning to golf, it feels really like a lot of pressure if there's other golfers coming up behind them. So all of our events, I mean, we've had a couple brunch rounds in the past, but we're usually at 3:30 or 4, and they block off the end of the tee sheet for us. Yeah. And I put people in 6 sums just because sometimes that goes a little faster, especially if, the shots are shorter. Yeah. So that's the first thing. Find a very supportive golf course, shoot for the afternoons. How come people are a little excited is because I work really hard to brand it online. And again, that's what my profession is anyways, but you could use Canva and make a logo and kind of keep your branding consistent, keep your content writing very it's understandable, format it so that every month, if there's going to be an event, the girls know I have a tagline. I think I posted yesterday about our next event, and I said something applicable to the month. Like you're going to want to golf after Masters Week. Trust me, April event, date, time, price, DM me to join.
Yeah.
So keep it concise and simple. And I think the most important aspect for growth that I've seen is I actually talk to them on DM. So a couple in the fall, the Arizona Golf Association, Megan and Kylie, they reached out to me to put on a clinic. And I thought, sure, why not?
Yeah.
They did all the legwork. I just slapped my name on it. And and they were like, well, we want to send people to Golf Genius to register.
Yeah.
So they wrote up a caption and said like, go to our link in bio to register. And I told them, I was like, okay, everything's great, but let's switch it. It's more legwork on my part, but switch it to DM me to join. Because my girls are already used to the DM thing. But also if I have, and in sales, it's like, I just need that point of connection, that like door open to then keep talking to them.
Yeah.
So if I send them to the link, they're not going to do it. But if they ask me DM to join, I have a little blurb essentially, and that explains what it is. And I'm like, hey, click the link and you just sign up here.
Yeah.
And they do it. Or they have an opportunity to ask questions. So it's more effort, but it's a connection. And people I cannot emphasize how valuable connecting with people is for anything you want to do ever.
It's so important.
It is.
You got to build trust with them.
Yeah. Even when it's so funny, I can't remember everybody's first name, but I remember all their Instagram handles.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you're like Cat Lover 09 or like, hey, I saw you got engaged last weekend. Congrats. So I really do make an effort to be invested in their lives and meet each one of them when they come. I go at the event. I think maybe if I have 6 different groups, I hang out with I don't play. I hang out with every group and I'm like, hey, I get their picture. At the end of an event, I'll be laying on my couch, just phone in my face, posting the group shots and tagging them sort of thing. So all in all, find a club that's supportive, brand it, make it fun, make it cool, and really actually make the effort to talk to the girls. Nowadays, I'm working with the AGA to be an official club, and we'll have Golf Genius and stuff. But before that, I was honestly keeping all the RSVPs in a note on my iPhone, and then I go in and individually DM them. But that's kind of what makes them feel welcome.
Yeah. And, all our systems in the beginning however we can get by, whatever is working at that moment, systems evolve over time. But I love that you said you need to go find a club that's enthusiastic about you being there, because that is so important. So even if there's a club that you golf at every week and you think that's the perfect spot, if they're not enthusiastic about you being there with a big group of women, or however, maybe it's a couples league. If they're not enthusiastic about it, or if you don't feel like you can build a good relationship with the people behind the pro shop desk, then that's going to be torture. Make sure you can, build that relationship easily.
And that is something I'm so thankful. And major shout out to Matt Porter and Justin Creighton at the Biltmore, and also Jake, Jimmy, Pete, and Connor, and Brian at Grass Clippings. They have all, if I want to have an event, they just all are, okay, when do you want it? Let's figure it out. We'll book out the times. And especially when starting at the Biltmore, that's a heritage course in Arizona. That's a famous resort. Yeah. Matt and Justin had no qualms about. They were like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And I was bringing them maybe 10, so what, $400, but now I bring them 40.
Yeah.
And so it's been a very wonderful partnership. And I think we're both, reaping. Yeah. I mean, from me, it's oh, yeah, my club's fun and cool. And then from them, they're like, okay,
exactly.
thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, honestly, to the clubs out there, women hold, like, especially this age group, I think it's like 80% of spending power in a household. Like, imagine if they want to go golf during the middle of the week. Just literally, if you let women come and feel comfortable at your golf course and used to showing up there and like they belong, well, they're going to be loyal to that, and they'll bring their friends. And that's great business.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how that's not like just, I don't know.
Who buys the laundry detergent? Exactly. Who buys the ketchup?
Exactly. That's why it's so funny to me that these pro shops have like 5% ladies apparel. It's like,
oh, I know.
I have never seen my husband actively go buy anything at the pro shop. Like, he's not a shopper.
Golf balls. Yeah. Like, I need some.
Yeah. He forgot his golf glove. That's the best you can do. Or how about this? Oh my God. He's so embarrassing. So you know how most clubs have poker chips?
Yeah.
Right there near the cash register. So I don't know why Casey thought this, but he's just been taking them. He thought they were just like free, like the flat ones.
Like a scorecard?
Yeah. I'm like, no, Casey, you need to pay for those. He's like, oh, I thought they were just like a token, like a tea gift.
That is.
I'm like, Casey, go back and pay for that.
Imagine the pro shop there for the.
We'll
just let it go. We'll just write it off. We didn't see that.
Oh my God. Anyway.
So innocent.
So it's my understanding then you have an event once a month, or is it sometimes more?
Once a month, because I think that's my bandwidth. Yeah. And my goal this year is, and actually it's kind of ironic, that was my early first quarter 2024 goal. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to get a calendar so that the girls can really plan it out and let me know. Yeah. And then the Biltmore has been under construction. And then also grass clippings was a little under construction. Yeah. And, so I think second half, there's much more of a possibility of having like more of a set calendar. But because it's been just me, I just emailed a Bill. I kind of like do it around my schedule so I can go. Yeah. But yeah, 9 and 1 once a month, usually towards the end of the month. So for April, it's going to be April 28th at 4 at the Biltmore. And I always tell everybody, follow Instagram, and I post it and I put it in stories and I make the little like note in the DMs. So, and usually how it's been going, at least this year, is I'll kind of, after like a day, I kind of have to make a wait list anyways. Yeah. So.
But my point being is that every month they can rely on you to have an event.
9 and 1.
I think that's another thing that if you are considering forming a group, forming a league, you got to be consistent. Yes. So whether you're weekly, bi-weekly, once a month, it's like you need to show the players that you're going to show up. You're going to be there every week, every month, and then they can depend on you, and then they'll really tell their friends.
Yes. And that's kind of, consistency is the key to literally anything in life. Yep. I am guilty of not being consistent in a lot of stuff. Yep. But because I now have, 1,000 girls who are interested in this sport, and I've created this like venue for them to go participate in it, I know that their lives are busy too. And so I always, if someone's like, oh, I can't make it, I want to just tell them, don't worry about it. Next month, there's always another opportunity. Exactly. And it's not too far away mentally for them, because months, days are long, weeks are short kind of thing. There's always something just around the corner for them to put on their calendar. Yeah. So the consistency has been the key. I would also like this year with the AGA to offer more clinics. So I will say, in the summer in Arizona, maybe we skip like July or August because it's real hot and horrible.
Or maybe you go inside.
True.
You can go to an indoor facility. But it's tough. I get it.
And then the holidays, like I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut. And so this past November, we had a clinic at Papago, and it was an hour, 30 minutes range, 30 minutes putting green. About like 45 girls came. and, half and half, and they swap. And I thought it was so many new faces. And I see generally at the 9 and Wine events, it'll be like 50% regulars and, other 50s, like kind of like newer or friends they brought. But this event, I saw like 80% new ladies. And I thought, this is the little like bridge that they needed to feel confident to then go to the 9. And so I want to do more of those this year too.
Absolutely. So let's talk scale. So it has already naturally scaled quite a bit as far as 10 players to now 1,000 players in your club. So what's going to happen? What's going to happen when these events are selling out even like in seconds, minutes, and, they're wanting more? And
I don't know. So first step in the scaling process has been through the AGA, which actually is such a, dots connect looking backwards, like pinch me moment sort of thing. They offered for Millennielle Golf Club to be an official club under them. Yeah. And so through that, the girls that are interested can sign up under the club and they can start contributing to a GIN score, which is awesome. Yeah. Like there's a little subset, a handful of those girls who would be interested in doing that. But
they can start establishing a handicap index. Yeah.
Go to member guest tournaments. Like there's
experience all that.
A next level. Like for example, your Desert Classic, like I couldn't play because I didn't have a GIN number. Yeah. And so I reached out to 2 girls who I knew would. And I had no idea I have to be honest, I had no idea what their handicaps were. And they told me at like the dinner table first night, I almost like spit out my food. I was like, what? I didn't know you were a couple sticks. Oh my God. And then they crushed the whole thing. I was so proud. But that's the first step is finishing setup with Arizona Golf Association. Then I'll get access to Golf Genius, which will then help me, because right now everybody just shows up and I put them on carts and I send them out, but it'll help me like with tee times and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think I've made some merch in the past, like hats and balls and shirts, and that would be fun to kind of like be able to more streamline those sales, maybe through Instagram or something. Yeah. And then also through that Golf Genius AGA thing, I'll have almost like an online hub for the club. So really building that out. I don't know necessarily if I'm going to, as far as scale, going into more golf tournaments, but I think there might be an opportunity for community. Maybe it's like a newsletter highlighting, different women in the club and like what they're doing, like a monthly spotlight sort of thing. Maybe it's more of like a Phoenix, Scottsdale Valley, like ladies group sort of thing, like to connect. Yeah. So, because that's out of all of it, they have so much fun playing golf. But I will tell you, in my life, some of my longest, most special friendships I made on a golf course. And I mean, I played junior golf, right? So like, I spent a lot of time with a lot of the same people a lot. But for example, I played high school golf here, Xavier College Prep. And it's funny because I played with Cheyenne Woods on that team, but her mom is now processing my paperwork at the AGA. And then Sarah Schmelzel, who just was playing in the LPGA event out in Gilbert. We just played like at the day after Thanksgiving at Grass Clippings our first time. And those are friendships, like maybe you don't talk a lot throughout the year, but when you do meet up, you pick right back up.
Absolutely.
One of my college roommate, we were teammates, and I just visited her recently. And, it's the thing about golf is you have the gift of time together, and you also, it's a sport where you can really tell someone's character.
Yeah.
And how strong they are mentally, emotionally, or how weak. Like it's a great venue to understand who you're getting in business with too. So I really want to lean into, when I scale, probably that connection community aspect of it. And then, golf's always seems to be a really good backdrop.
Yeah. Well, it seems like the possibilities for your golf club, Millennielle Golf Club, are endless. And wherever you want to take it, it will go.
Thanks.
I mean, these ladies are so lucky to have you because, again, I'm considered a millennial. I'm on the top half. I'm 40 years old, but you really don't see our age group out there a ton.
No.
Which, again, a lot of them are doing other things right now, but I do think that it's something that's needed. You know, I mean, when I had my first kid, when I had Lucy 18 years ago, I can't believe I have an 18-year-old at this point. I stopped working and I just was a mom. I was a stay-at-home mom, but I still needed to like get out and do something, you know, and golf was actually what it was. You know, I would go and my mother-in-law would watch Lucy and I would go and just hit balls at the range or go to get a golf lesson. And, you know, like that's what I would do. So it's, you know.
And that's therapeutic too.
Yeah.
Like the peace you can find, you're out in nature and you're out in beautiful nature, but like you're outside, even if it's a little bit of rage. The other day I had a bad day and I was like, I need to go to the driving range. And I felt a lot better after.
Exactly.
And I think a couple of my favorite things when the girls come to the events, the moms that get a moment, like kind of like to go have fun with their girlfriends. And it's not like, oh, we're staying out all night. It's like, no, they go for an afternoon and they have a good time and they're so happy.
Yeah.
They're laughing. I love when I'm like 300, 200 yards away and I just hear laughter.
Oh, yeah.
It is
It's the best.
so fun.
It's the best.
And then also, I think the most fun thing is when some of the girls are like, yeah, my husband was like, oh, you're going to go, don't you want to go play with me? And they're like, no, I'm going to go play with the girls.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, yes,
Bye,
you go do your thing, girl.
You can do the dishes. No.
I'll be back later.
Yeah, exactly. No, and I mean, it's a testament to you. You have given them a safe place to come out and have community, play a sport that they love, have a couple drinks, and just enjoy themselves and meet those friends again. Because out of everything that golf has given me, you touched on it earlier. The biggest thing has been the opportunity to make friends as an adult. Yep. And it sounds silly when you say that out loud, but it's like a real thing.
They all talk about it. It's real. And it's special when you do find those utility friendships, because that's just the first moment of connection, but you have opportunity to go deep with because everybody's so multifaceted, but you have this opportunity to go very deep with each one of those avenues that ultimately like lead back to you kind of thing. So,
well, congratulations
on
your success. And I will be eager to watch your journey. Flourish even more. There's no doubt in my mind.
Thanks.
So.
It's been a ride. And like I said, dots connect looking backwards.
Exactly.
So we'll get you out to an event too.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for being on the podcast and sharing your story. Much. I know for sure that there are listeners out there that are, maybe they've never even thought of it before, but they're thinking about it now. Like, maybe I should start my own group.
Start it. Just do it.
Start it.
Also, one thing I'll say too, and this is probably, I should have touched on this earlier. The most important thing is don't doubt your own likability.
Yeah.
Everybody is in their own, and I see this because they all show up with like, oh, I'm so nervous. Like, I don't know if I'm going to make friends. It's like, no, stop. Yeah. Everybody is on the same page. Mm-hmm. For me, what I do is if I see somebody's Instagram post or something, I don't think like, oh, is it weird if I comment? No, it's not. It's why not? Your perceived likability is so much less to yourself than it is in actuality. So be brave, go comment, make the connection. Like that is how you actually form like a whole community. Mm-hmm. And so
that's how you connect.
Make the brand, ask to be at the course.
Yeah.
Talk to the girls. Don't be shy.
Yeah.
Just put yourself out there.
Do the hard things because it will pay off in the future and it will bring you so much joy.
So much.
And other people joy.
Yeah.
That's really it. Mm-hmm. Like you get joy out of everyone else enjoying what you created.
I'm having the best time watching them.
Exactly.
So
thank you Sierra for being on. I appreciate it.
It's an honor.